Good for you. Good morning, friends. Okay, let me know if you're here. Good morning, Michelle. All right, I'm gonna move this over. Hang on one sec. Let me get situated here. Jeez Louise. All right, welcome to this beautiful, beautiful Monday. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm so excited to bring you this message this morning. So, don't mind my dog. He needs to get all riled up now because I'm talking to no one. I'm talking to Michelle right now, but he thinks that there's someone in the house and he needs to go crazy for it. So today I wanted to bring you guys on a little journey of self-love and self-compassion, because what better day to talk about self-love and self-compassion than on Valentine's Day. So I actually hate Valentine's Day. I hate the idea of it. I hate the fact that there's one day where it's so commercialized. Like, if you love people, you should be showing them a lot more than once a year. And I understand the premise behind it, and I think that's fantastic. And that's why I wanted to come and talk about this stuff today, because the most important relationship is the one that you have with yourself. And, there's so many levels of self that you can connect with, right? Like, you've got this idea of self-love, self-trust, self-belief, self-confidence, self-sabotage sometimes. What else? Self-compassion, self-awareness, like all of these self things, right? And it's super important that you always anchor back in to you. And this is a lesson that I am going to talk about till the cows come home, because it has taken me 42 years to realize the importance of this and putting it into action every single day. So here we go. Self-connection, obviously, or no, maybe not obviously, but self-connection, good morning, Christy, is the process of being in touch with the worthiness and wholeness of yourself. Like, regardless of any experience that you're part of, regardless of any thoughts that you have, regardless of all these things, it's like yourself in the moment, right? And this whole idea of self-compassion and self-love is so linked to connecting with yourself, because many of us struggle with things like body image. We struggle with things like confidence. We struggle with things like trusting ourselves. We struggle with worthiness. We struggle with all of these things. And I don't really want to focus on the struggle today, but I just want to bring awareness to that, right? I want to bring awareness to the importance of anchoring into the most powerful version of yourself. And in order to do that, you need to give yourself a little bit of love and a little bit of compassion, because, life is hard. We get conditioned into so many things. We get conditioned into, like, I'm getting ahead of myself, all of these roles and everything else. Which I'll get to. Hang on. See, this is why I need to have notes to keep myself on track. So the more that you root, like deeply anchor, whatever word you want to talk resonates with you, the more you connect to yourself and you really become okay, more than okay, the more you become proud of who you are, the more you love yourself, like, the more that you become unstoppable, the more things that you have access to, the more power that you can generate. And I don't mean power in a masculine, oh, I need to be the boss and get everything done. I don't mean it that way. I just mean this beautiful sense of I can conquer the friggin' world, bring it, right? And that's also why I created this 6-week program that's starting the end of February, because I'm so committed to helping as many people as I can anchor back into this version of themselves, because, we get conditioned on all of this, the mother, the teacher for myself. I was a teacher forever. When you teach in public school, you can't be yourself, right? You have to be this person. You're a teacher 24/7. They tell you that when you're going to school to learn to be a teacher. You're a teacher 24/7. Hello? No, I'm a person. I'm a person too. So don't put me in the box, right? But unfortunately, that's where you get. And you get put in this box of this is how you're supposed to act. This is how you're supposed to believe in things. This is what you're supposed to talk about. This is the kind of family that you're supposed to have. These are the type of children you're supposed to have. And it's suck it. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way, but it's so, good morning, Suzanne. You're so labeled, right? And it's like escaping these labels that society puts on us and that we put on ourselves oftentimes too, right? Like, I'm a perfectionist, I'm an overgiver, I'm a people pleaser. These are all labels that we give ourselves. Some of it is coping strategies for like trauma that we've like gone through, but some of it is just a label. Like, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a this. Well, who am I at my core? Right? Show yourself some love, friends. Show yourself some love. So that's what we're going to get at today. So self-connection is deeply personal. And like, I know that I often will come on and I'll try to give you tips or tools or like things that you can add to like figure out how to do it. But ultimately, this is a journey for you. And this is what I love about what I do, is that I get to facilitate this journey for so many people. And I'm just so deeply grateful that I get to do that, because like I said, I'm so passionate about helping people come back to who they really are, because we are powerhouses, you guys. And I don't think very many of us recognize that in ourselves yet. So when we get conditioned into these roles and when we go through life and we, have all this kind of like heaviness that sets in, the demands of daily life kind of pull us away from who we are at our core, right? So as a child, think back to when you were little. Like, your life was whatever you wanted it to be. You wanted to be a princess today, boom, you were a princess. You wanted to be a construction worker, boom, you're a construction worker. Maybe today you're going to be a vet or a doctor. It doesn't matter. When you were a kid, literally the world was at your fingertips. And that innocence of like, man, I'm awesome. Like, talk to a 5-year-old. They will tell you straight up how fantastic they are all the time. All the time. Like, I'll say to my kids, like, oh my gosh, you look so beautiful today, Carly, or you look so handsome today. I know. I know. Like, there is no doubt in their mind. So like, why do we allow all of these things to like pull that like confidence out of us? So let's get back to it, because we need to have the energy to pour back into ourselves. That's so important. And part of that is nurturing yourself. You have to have a relationship with you. You are the first and most important relationship that you should ever invest in. And I know many of us don't, because we do get into these roles of caregiver, of, like codependent. I haven't talked a lot about that. I've mentioned it in different times, and I will do some more discussion about it, because I think a lot of us like can fall into that category and maybe we don't know about it. But that is a huge thing that we kind of get like sucked up in. And like, then it's a matter of like, okay, I need to make sure everybody else is okay first. I need to make sure everybody else is fine before I take care of myself. And it's funny, like my husband said this to me like last week. He's like, I really appreciate the fact that like you give yourself to all of us way before you give anything to you. And I was like, damn, like here I am talking about it, but I'm still in this cycle where like I get up in the morning and I throw my hair in a messy bun and I put some clothes on. Like, I don't shower first. I make coffee for like myself and my husband. I pack lunches. I get the kids sorted out. I do all of these things like, because that's what moms do. Right. And we just fall into this role of it happening. It's like, yeah, no. And I am getting better at bringing awareness and like pulling that back in. But like sometimes reminders come in the form of like affection. It's like, yeah, no, I guess I do need to put myself first sometimes. So, it's and yet another reason why I do this, because I need to hear these messages on the daily just as much as everybody else does. So the practice of self-connection is like a combination of things. It can be insights, concepts, skills that help us access our resources, awareness, wisdom, choice, trust, and transformation for ourselves. So I had to write that down because I was like, ooh, that was some juicy stuff that came through when I was writing this out on Saturday. So I want to get a little bit vulnerable. I know I have a lot of new people in the crowd on every platform. I have a ton of new followers on Instagram. We have a bunch of new friends in Facebook, and I kind of want to give you a little piece of me so that you can like truly understand, where I come from, right? And so rewind 42 years ago. My mom, I come from a cycle of toxicity. Bottom line, my mom was part of 2 toxic marriages. The second one was my father, and he inflicted trauma on me while I was in my mom's womb. And I have done emotion code to figure some of this out. So I actually went to a practitioner who did it. And, some of these things came out. So like I was conditioned before I was even birthed. So like, that's how deep some of this stuff runs for some of us, right? And in that, like, you know, my mom also carried this generational ancestral karma, trauma, insert whatever label you want to add onto it with her. And so we get all of these things that are kind of coming to us before we even have a chance to get started sometimes, right? And then as I was born and as I was growing up, my dad was he's not a kind human at all. At all. And like he emotionally and probably physically, if I had to be honest, maybe even sexually, like was abusive to my mom, and he was definitely emotionally abusive to me. And I don't remember a lot of it, like consciously remember, but my subconscious sure does. And like there's times, you know, since I've been older, my mom never spoke negatively about my father. She's a fucking saint. I don't know how she didn't, because he is like the worst human probably on the face of the planet, or among the worst, I should say. And you know, she was just, like I said, she was a saint for not ever tainting my relationship with him. And but in doing, as I aged and as I got to know who he was, and as you know, stories came out, I realized how absolutely terrible my dad was. And like from the time I was little, he would like push me out of the way. He would tell me that I wasn't worth like being around. He would like instill this fatal flaw in me, like there was something wrong with me, like I wasn't worth his time, I didn't deserve to be loved, like he didn't want me. He told me that. Like, I didn't want you. Your mom wanted you. Oh, great. Perfect. Thanks. So like, there you go. Insert like, you know, and I think I was like 2 or 3 when he said that to me, my mom said. So like, this is all ingrained deeply in my subconscious that I've had to access and like, you know, work through. And, you know, like my mom tried to overcompensate. God love her heart. She is like a phenomenal human, but she tried to overcompensate for the fact that my dad was terrible. And in doing so, she overgave, and she was a people pleaser, and she always tried to go over and above for everybody, didn't expect anything in return, but like she gave because that was her, or you know, is her way of showing love to people and showing how much she cares about them and all of the rest of it. And so this is the example that I grew up with. So of course I became an overgiver. Of course I became a people pleaser. Like she set ridiculously high expectations of like how I was to behave, and you know, the expectations of school of like I needed to get good grades because like that was important, and you know, all of these things, and like that instilled putting pressure on me as well, right? So all of these things kind of come together, and you know, it's really the reason why I sit and I preach about all of these things, because not until I started my healing journey, not until I was in my mid 30s did I realize the impact that some of this stuff had on me, right? And the impact it had on my own self-esteem, the impact it had on my relationships with friends, with like significant others. I always like had this comparisonitis, and I still do, let's be real, there's still inklings of that, but I can control it a lot better now. But like this idea of like looking at other women and comparing myself to them, and like I found my father in all of my relationships, all of them. And it showed up, different versions of him showed up differently in different people that I've been with. But like, ultimately, this is, you know, it's a true story when they say like, you know, girls look for their dads, boys look for their moms, right? In their spouses. And it's true. And like, being in this state of always being in this like imbalanced relationship of like, I have to give all of myself to this other person, and I'm really not supposed to expect anything in return. Then, you know, the boundaries come in of like lack of boundaries, I should say, and you just accept it, right? Because, well, like this is who I am. I show kindness, I show love, I show generosity, I show all of these things because that's who I am, that's how I'm wired. But it's not. It was a coping strategy, it was a mechanism, it was a conditioning that I was taught. Who I am at my core, I am worth way more than all of that imbalance. When a friend offers to give me support, I'm worth accepting it without having to give something back in return, right? And like for those, that is the message that I want you guys to like have hit home today. You are worth exactly everything that this world has to offer you in this moment, not when you become successful, not when you lose 15 pounds, not when you like recognize like, and you know, accept your what you look like in the mirror, not when but right in this friggin' moment right now, you are worthy, you are whole, you are complete, you are not fucking missing anything, you are not lacking. It's a matter of anchoring in and recognizing that for yourself. And once you do, my friends, I tell you, there is a shift that happens inside, obviously, but also outside. It creates this beautiful ripple effect. And the faster you can anchor into that, and the faster you can realize, like, no, I deserve healthy boundaries. I deserve to like voice my opinion when something doesn't make me feel good, without the fear of what that judgment's going to be coming back to me. When you can finally get to the place where you can do that, girl, it's like life changing. I tell you. So, that's part of the reason why I want to share this, because like I've gone through all this stuff, and like, it's draining. And it leads to just a complete disconnection, right? Like when I look back to when I was 36, I had just had Carly. I was a train wreck. I probably had undiagnosed like postpartum. My marriage was in fucking shambles because John didn't want a second child and I got pregnant. Obviously we've worked through that and things are fine, but like I just want to give you guys like a clear picture. Like I hated going to work every day. I hated what my body looked like. I couldn't stand like being out in public. All I wanted to do was like lay around the house in pajamas, and then I felt bad because I laid around the house in pajamas. Like there was no communication, there was no intimacy, there was nothing in my marriage, and I just felt completely shut off from everything. And it wasn't until I hit that moment of like, fuck my life, this is not what I want the next 50 years to be like, that I was like, okay, enough is enough. Like pull yourself up off the goddamn floor and like let's do something about it. You don't want to feel like you can't stand the look of yourself in the mirror? Then let's start doing something that makes us feel good. Let's move our bodies in a way that makes us feel good. And see, this is enter another thing. I always worked out for other people. I always worked out because going back to that comparisonitis, I always wanted to like, look good for the person that I was with. I wasn't doing it for myself. I was doing it for the person that I was with. And that was not for the right reason. And at 36 years old, I finally got some help. And I mean, I've been going to therapy ever since I was like 21, but I'm talking like the help that felt like the missing piece for me, which was personal development. It was connecting with other women who were in the same place that I was in. It was connecting with people and courses and like spirituality that I had been burying for fucking years because I was too ashamed to tell anybody that like I loved crystals and that I love like connecting with angels and that I believe in all of this other stuff. Yeah, right? I know, it's a good one, Christy. And I was ashamed. Why was I ashamed? It's a beautiful thing to have something that you can like feel deeply in your core that is bigger than you. And it doesn't matter what that looks like for you, whether that's God, whether it's the universe, whether it's source, whether it's Mother Earth. Like, I don't care what entity you connect with, Buddha, like whatever. I'm terrible with religion because I don't care about like organized religion, but like whatever that thing is that you connect with, like, why are we ashamed of it? I hid that portion of myself for years. It wasn't until, oh man, I was probably like, it was before I had Carly that I started like inching out of it. And the only reason I did is because I joined this like splurge group and I met a couple other moms. And like one of the girls in the crowd, we had gone out for dinner and we just randomly started talking. I don't even know how the conversation sparked. I think she said something about angels and I was like, what? Like, did we just become new best friends? And literally she's in the group. She's like, she is my soul sister. And, life, I could not have done all of the things I've done over the last like 7 years without her. So Jenny LeBlanc, I love you to the moon and back. And I just want to say that today because I feel like of all days, today should be the day that she's recognized. But and any of you that know her personally know that she is a fucking angel sent straight from heaven to this earth for so many reasons. But I digress. I just, you know, like it's so important to recognize, to bring this self-awareness into your vision. Like I waited for so long for somebody else to recognize how miserable I was and say, hey, what can I do for you? And nobody was coming to save me. Nobody. My husband was not coming to save me. My mother was not coming to save me. She just kept saying, oh yeah, it's hard right now, but it'll get better. It'll get better. I didn't want to fucking hear it'll get better. I want to say, like, yes, I see that you are hurting. I see your pain. I see your suffering. Like, what can I do to help you? Nobody came to rescue me. I had to rescue myself. And when I realized that nobody was coming, and I took that step to say, enough is enough. Like I deserve better. I deserve better for myself. I didn't care about anybody else in that moment. I only cared about me. And at 36 years old, that's the first time that I ever only cared about me. And I didn't care about anybody else. And it was only because I was pushed to like my literal breaking point. Like I had to take leave from teaching. I had to take stress leave. I went in begging. I like was bawling in my doctor's office saying like, please, something needs to change. Like, I don't know what. He wanted to give me antidepressants. He wanted to give me like, I don't even know, like 5 different prescriptions. 5. He came at me with 5 different prescriptions. I was like, I don't need fucking drugs. I need help. Like I need time. I need space. I need energy. I don't have any energy for anybody else because I'm sucked dry. Because at this point I had 2 babies that were under 2, and holy moly, I know any of you moms can probably relate to that. So once you hit that point of like deep realization and reflection and like enough is enough, whatever that looks like for you, rock bottom's different for everybody. That was my rock bottom, but like rock bottom is different for everyone. And when it is a horrible feeling, Christy, 1,000,000%. And when you get there, it's like, okay, well, I can't go down anymore. Like I am at the like lowest point in my life that I've ever been at. So like we can only go up from here. So that was a positive. If there's anything that was like beneficial about myself and like what I could love about myself is that I always found the silver lining. And that's where you have to start. You start small. You start in the areas of like, okay, what can I love about myself in this moment? Maybe I don't love everything, but I can promise you there's one thing about you that you could say that is kind and will connect with that heart space that we talked about last week. So I want you to anchor into that piece of you today. If you do nothing else today, anchor into the piece of you that you can find, where you can find that compassion for yourself of like, look at how far I've come, right? Look at all of the things that I've experienced. Look at all the things that I've lived through. Look at all the choices that I have made. Take some fucking ownership for it. Because although things can happen to us, we are ultimately in control as to whether we remain the victim or whether we shift. And some of you might get triggered by that, but like, if you're triggered by it, good, because it means that you need to hear it. So what choice are you making about how you're going to shift from there, right? So I want you to today to find one thing that you can anchor in and love about yourself in this moment, not when, but now. Where your feet are planted, like Leanne says, where your feet are planted in this moment. What do you love most about yourself? And how can you show yourself compassion for all of the things that you've lived through? Okay. So that was a quick snippet. I know it didn't share everything that I have written down, but I'm just allowing things to be guided the way that I think it needs to go. So this is what I'm gifting you today. I, on Saturday, tried to connect because I like to kind of plan things out a little bit ahead of time. I opened the records and I kind of said, like, what message do we need to bring forward on this beautiful Valentine's Day? And this was it. It was all about self-love, self-compassion, and connecting with yourself. So I have a gift for you. And I have a challenge for you too. For anyone that is on my email list, you are going to receive this gift in your email today, this afternoon. It is a 52-page journal of connecting to yourself on a deeper level. It works out to 7 days, okay? It's 7 days to a more connected self. That's the title that I've put on this journal. If you want a copy of this journal, DM me your email and I will add you to my list, okay? For those of you that are in my world, whether it's Instagram, Facebook in the group here, wherever you're watching me and tuning in on, if it's on YouTube, like I want you to hashtag my story. And I want you, I'll check Christy. I don't know if you, I think you are, but I'll double check. I want you to share your story, because when you anchor into your story, when you anchor into your truth, when you anchor into like the most vulnerable parts of you, it kind of rips you open and lets you really look at yourself with a little bit more compassion than you maybe would. Because going back through your life and having to kind of relive some of the moments, some of the conditioning, some of the experiences, some of the people that you have shared your time and space and energy with, allows you to realize how far you've come. Okay. So if anyone wants to get vulnerable and share their story, I have a beautiful prize that I am going to make and mail out to you. I'm going to leave it at that. It's going to be a little surprise, but it's going to be something that will bring a little bit of self-love back to you for sharing your story. So just hashtag my story on whatever platform, tag me in it. I would love to be tagged in it. And your name will go into an entry for this lovely gift that I'm going to mail out to you. And I will do the draw on Friday. So I'll come live and do the draw and show you what I'm sending you. But I'm going to leave you hanging because part of the reason for doing this is not to get a present. Part of the reason to do this is to practice being vulnerable and practice connecting with yourself and showing yourself a little bit of love and compassion. And so in your story, if you can share what a part of it you're compelled to, like you don't have to share your whole story, but when you share your story, I want you to talk about or anchor into what do you love about yourself in this moment and how are you showing yourself compassion moving forward. So I'm going to leave you with that today. I hope you all have the most beautiful day. Like I said, if any of you want a copy of that journal, just message me. If you're not sure if you're on the list, Chrissy, I am going to write you down. But if you're not sure if you're on my list and you want a copy of it, just send me a message, friends, and I will add you into the mix. I can always send it to you later too. So if you miss like before the email goes out today, no sweat, my pet. Happy Valentine's Day, my love nuggets. I hope you have the most beautiful day and beautiful week going forward. I will be back this week to do some live card pulls in my group. So also for those of you not watching on Facebook, if you are not part of my group, the Connected Female Tribe on Facebook, get yourself in it because I go live usually every week to do some card readings. So you can connect to those beautiful intuitive messages that are meant for you. So I'll leave you there. Love you guys. And I'm so grateful that you joined me live. Thank you for coming. I'll see you soon.